that I'm literally shaking. And this is another reason that I know for sure that Dr. Phil does not understand what it's like to live as a Jehovah's Witness. This woman, he's talking about her demeanor, how she's being difficult, and why she wants to walk off. You cannot imagine what this woman has probably gone through unless you are a Jehovah's Witness. Think about it. Okay. Firstly, she goes into this organization. She's been indoctrinated for almost 10 years. Okay. Then she discovers that this organization is not the truth. Now she has conflict within herself about, okay, do I want to stay in this organization? Because I know if I leave the organization, I'm going to lose my husband and I'll possibly lose my kids. Okay, that's a conflict. Then she decides to actually leave the organization. Now she has directly put herself in a position where she has lost friends, probably lost some family members, and is in danger of losing her husband and in danger of losing some of her kids. And so now she comes to this conclusion, now my husband's going to be praying for me to be destroyed, basically. That is another conflict. Now you have to look at the conflict within her. She realizes, okay, this is not the truth. And I've been indoctrinating my kids with it. And my kids are going to believe this, or believing this same thing that I thought was the truth. And it was my fault. And now I have to deprogram my kids. Can you imagine how you would feel if you taught your kids something and then found out that it was a lie? And now you have to tell your kids, I'm sorry, I taught you something that was a lie. And now I got to deprogram you. But then on top of losing what you thought was the truth and losing your relationship with your husband and losing your relationship with your friends and extended family and discovering that you told your kids a lie and trying to unindoctrinate your kids, now you might lose your kids because of all this stuff. And he's wondering why she's being dramatic. I'm surprised this woman can even finish a sentence. I would be going so crazy too. And that's how I realized that Dr. Phil has no idea of what he is dealing with and what these people are actually going through. If anybody else in the world was going through as much as this person is going through, they would be going crazy and walking off the stage too. But it's because people don't realize what the everyday life of a Jehovah's Witness and what the everyday life of an ex-Jehovah's Witness is like. They're both super difficult. And on top of it all, you have to remember these are two abused people. Both of these people were emotionally and spiritually abused, and they were taken advantage of. So regardless of how we feel about what they've done, you still have to approach it from the standpoint that you're dealing with someone who has an abused mind. And if you would give anybody that was abused in any other way more respect and more tact when you talk to them, when you try to help them, then these people should get the same amount of tact and respect because they have been hurt. They have been hurt mentally, and the man may not even realize it. But he has been emotionally and spiritually abused the same way this woman, even though she realizes it. It's not like, okay, I realized I've been abused and now I'm fixed. No, you have to deal with all the shit that you've lost. You've lost years of your life, your freedom, your dreams, your goals, everything you want to do. Your very life, it's almost like being in jail for 10 years and then expecting that person to come out of jail and just forget the whole time they were in jail. They're not going to forget that. They're going to take it with them for the rest of their life. This one was only in the organization for about 10 years. Imagine people like me who were in for 25 years or people who were in for longer. There's people on YouTube who are who were in the organization for 40, 50 years. Ray France, the guy that wrote Crisis of Conscience, was a member of Bethel. He was like way up. He was in the organization for like 60 years before he got out of the organization. And then he wrote a book about the whole organization. It took years for him to get out. So you're not just going to leave that baggage behind. It's going to stick with you. It's going to be a hard thing for you to get rid of. So people have to remember, when you're trying to help someone who is a Jehovah's Witness, or someone who is an ex-Jehovah's Witness and is still dealing with all the baggage of those things, you have to really understand that you're dealing with someone who has been abused. And you have to deal with them the same way, even though you can't see the marks. The marks are there. They are there, and they will never go away. So be nice to these people. Be careful with them. Be loving with them, because they are hurt. They are hurt people, and they don't need you or I to take our frustration out on them. Even though we are super frustrated, and even though we're frustrated for a good reason, they don't need that. You have to be loving with them and let them know that, hey, I'm saying this to you because I care about you and I love you. And if it came to a point where you had to drink the Kool-Aid, I don't want you to drink the Kool-Aid. I don't want to lose you. You know, I love you. I miss you, and we miss you. And trust me, even being that way, it's going to be super difficult to get someone that's a Jehovah's Witness to see your point. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to until they are ready. But if you push them away, you're going to lessen the chance for them to even consider why they should even consider getting away from the organization. So, Dr. Phil, I think you really dropped the ball on this one. I think there are a couple more clips, and then we'll wrap it up.
I was perfect. Every parent needs help. And I'm here. I'm trying to get the help. We agreed to parenting classes. We volunteered for these things. We volunteered for a lot of things to get the help that we needed. I never said that we were perfect. By all means, we can do better. But there was no risk to the children that they needed to be taken away.
Do you want to hear what I have to say or not?
Of course she doesn't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to hear what you have to say. You know why? Because she's dealt with an organization full of men who don't want to listen to what she has to say, because she's supposed to just do whatever they tell them to do. And not because she's a woman, it's because she is a member of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, and she's supposed to just listen. It has nothing to do with men and women in this instance. It has to do with the fact that you're a sheep and you're supposed to do whatever we tell you to do. Okay, so she's been dealing with that for the last 10 years. Then on top of that, her husband, she sees that he doesn't listen to her because he's going to go off and do what the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society tells him to do. So he's not listening to her. Then she comes to your show. You don't know anything about being a Jehovah's Witness, and you're just browbeating her, to use a term that the witnesses use a lot. You're just yelling at her. You're not empathetic to her because you don't understand what she's going through. And now you have some other psychiatrist on the show that's telling her to say yes when he doesn't even understand what it is to be a Jehovah's Witness and what she's going through. So no, she doesn't want to listen to you. And if you had any idea of what you were dealing with, you would understand why she doesn't want to listen to you. I'm pretty positive any ex-JW watching this video probably feels the same way. They're like, I don't want to hear what you have to say either. I know I don't.
Say yes.
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 Give it to me nicely.
Give it to you nicely. Oh. You act like you're doing me a favor to listen to me. You called me.
All right, guys. Notice what happened right here. It is amazing to me how people react to this situation. This woman who has been pretty much beaten down by everybody around her right now says, give it to me nicely. And everybody laughs like she's asking for something that is completely out of the question. Since for the last 30 minutes, she's been getting yelled at by a doctor who doesn't practice any of the things that a doctor should be practicing in order to help someone who's in the situation that this person is in. And also notice that she is the only one between the two. The other man, the other psychiatrist says, say yes. What does the man that's a Jehovah's Witness do? He immediately says yes. Why? Because he's been trained to follow along. That's all he can do. It's not that he's doing it because, oh yeah, this is the right thing to do. No, he's been indoctrinated to be a sheep. So anybody who has any form of authority that says something, he is automatically going to follow along with them because he is a sheep himself. This woman is not asking for anything out of anything extraordinary when she's asking for a doctor to speak nicely to her. And everyone laughs like she's being, like she's being so disrespectful to someone who is supposedly such a great person, but has treated an abuse victim, who has been rude and mean to an abuse victim for the last half hour. No one's chastising Dr. Phil, but they're chastising the abuse victim because she's actually standing up to someone who is being abusive to her the same way she's standing up to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society by leaving them. There's a lot in this video that the average person wouldn't notice unless they knew more about what a Jehovah's Witness goes through or what an ex-Jehovah's Witness goes through. This is the very last part of this clip. I'm going to play it out and then I'll wrap up everything else, all right?
You said you needed a miracle and you prayed to God and he gave you me.
I gave you the platform.
And you're looking at a duo here that can tell you how to get your children back.
I understand that part.
And if you keep doing what you're doing, you may never have those kids back in your house.
What is it that I did wrong?
What?
I don't understand what it is that I did wrong.
They're gone for two reasons. One is there's a pattern here where a social worker, a caseworker looks at the pattern and says, I'm going to err on the side of caution.
I understand that to some degree.
Let me tell you the main reason. Okay? The main reason, and I think we've seen a pretty good evidence of it right here today.
Yes.
The minute... roll your eyes later. Listen to me now.
I haven't rolled my eyes.
Okay. That's it. I can't I can't watch any more of this. This woman is probably frustrated because I guarantee you everyone she has dealt with probably doesn't know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I'm going to put a link to the entire episode in the description box. But the last point that makes me realize that Dr. Phil was being a real jerk for this episode was for the last 2 minutes of this segment. He brings on a doctor. Now, what now? Only 2 minutes left in the segment. He brings on a doctor that was a Jehovah's Witness for 25 years that left the organization, and now he is someone who counsels. He's a doctor that counsels Jehovah's Witnesses who've left the organization and are now ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. But he does it when there's only 2 minutes left in the show. Now think about this. Let's say a person goes into a hospital and they are sick. And there's a doctor there. And the person sits down and tells the doctor their ailments for about 45 minutes. The doctor 5 minutes in the conversation knows he doesn't know anything about that person's ailment. But he sits and listens to it for about 45 minutes, right? The hospital's about to close. Let's say the hospital closes in, an hour. So 45 minutes into the conversation, the doctor says, oh, you know what? I don't know anything about this. Let me bring in another person to talk to you about it, but they're only going to be able to talk to you for about 2 minutes, and they got to go. You would be like, why the fuck didn't you bring this person out 45 fucking minutes ago? So this is my point. Dr. Phil knew he had a person that literally could have listened to both of them and gave Dr. Phil and the two people great insight and great help into fixing this situation. But he chose not to do that. He chose to say, well, he'll help you some other time. He can help you after. He's volunteered to help you after the show. But if he really wanted to show how much he really wanted to help those people, and what would have been a great way to show people who know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses or nothing about ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, to show the way these people are actually have been affected on a wide scale, he could have allowed that doctor to be on stage and talk to them, or be there via Skype or whatever and talk to them, so that he actually could have helped them from the standpoint of someone who understands and is empathetic to them, because he has dealt with that himself. So in my opinion, Dr. Phil was being a real jerk on this episode, and I really didn't like it. And I hope going forward, if somehow this video finds Dr. Phil's eyeballs and ear holes, that he would take the time to really investigate a lot of the stories on YouTube of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses or current Jehovah's Witnesses who are dealing with, mates who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, or people who are trying to leave the organization, so that he can really get a better understanding of what it is that we go through. Guys, if you are XJW watching this video, please add your voice to this struggle, because we really need to try to help as many people as we possibly can. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. I know personally several people, some of them I can't mention right now, but several people, not just me, but people that I've known for years who have been greatly affected by this organization. And if we can help wake up as many people as possible, once we are awakened, it is our duty. It is incumbent upon us to help as many people wake up and see the dangers of this organization as possible. I don't agree with anybody doing anything against their will, but if you are able to show someone something and their reasoning skills helps them to see that what this person has been believing isn't true, then we have to do that. We have to help these people, all right? So I know this video has been kind of long. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you found it helpful, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so that you know when I upload other content. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Peace.